So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a live workshop, Nirmata Cloud Control Point, EKS and ECS end-to-end policy as code with AWS, with our lovely AWS and Nirmata teams. My name is Randy. I'll be your moderator for today's session. I do have a couple housekeeping items I want to share with you. This session is being recorded and will be sent out after we conclude. And then since this is a workshop, we do want to make this as interactive as possible. So feel free to put any of your questions either in the chat or the Q&A session so that we can address. To start us off, I want to introduce you to our panelists and have them do a brief introduction for you. First off, we have Anusha with Nirmata, and then we have Marina with AWS. Anusha, I'll kick it off with you.
Thanks, Randy. Hi, everyone. I'm Anusha. I'm a product manager at Nirmata. I manage Enterprise Kyverno and Nirmata Control Hub. Cloud Control Point is a part of it. Nice to see you all. Thank you.
Hey, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depends where from you're joining. I'm Marina Novik. I'm a Senior Partner Solution Architect with AWS. And as from my title, Partner Solution Architect, you can probably guess that I work with partners like Nirmata Technology Partners on build solution together for AWS customers. Welcome everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Marina. I appreciate it. To make things more interactive, I would like us to start off with a couple of poll questions. I'm going to go ahead and launch them. The first one being, what is your job role? And then the second being, what is the biggest challenge you currently face? The biggest challenge you currently face, educating my peers about policy as code, the learning curve with policy writing, policy language, testing, etc., and then managing and scaling policies across environments, managing security in Kubernetes, analyzing cost, and ensuring governance and compliance. So I'll give everybody about a minute to two to get your answers in. This is awesome. I already see people hopping in. Looks like everybody's getting their answers in. I'll give 10 more seconds. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. What is your job role? It looks like majority at 40% is security architects and cloud security engineers. And then in second place at 20% is platform DevOps and cloud engineers. So we're glad to have you here. And then the number 2 question, what is the biggest challenge you currently face? It looks like 50% is managing security in Kubernetes. And then both tied for second at 20% is educating my peers about policy as code. And then the learning curve for policy writing. So it's very interesting. That being said, I'll hand it back off to Anusha to start our workshop.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting stats because platforms, SREs, cloud security engineers, I think all of us have a common problem of securing our workloads and securing our infrastructure. And I think one of the biggest challenge I also see is about learning curve for policy writing. I think you're in the right place with Kyverno. There's very minimal learning curve. And today we'll see that how Kyverno can extend even beyond Kubernetes, and we'll try to secure some of our ECS workloads as well. So yeah, let's start. Marina, do you want to get started?
Yeah, we decided to start today. Thank you, Anusha, very much. Just from basic understanding, like why we're actually talking about. And I see different, like from the poll, like you're on the learning curve for policy writing. And it's interesting really to see, Anusha, I reflect to you that a lot of people like still thinking associate Nirmata with Kubernetes security and policy management. But actually, yeah, today we'll look at actually Nirmata progressed and expanded the like well known and loved by actual platform engineers, DevOps, Kubernetes to Kubernetes JSON, and taking it to like new level when we actually can use the same technology on other cloud services in AWS, right? So talking back about shared responsibility model, and I hope like most of you familiar is why actually AWS care about partner like Nirmata and working on best practices, helping you decide how to do it. Because as you know, the AWS responsibility is security of the cloud. We're responsible for hardware, software, networking, facilities that run AWS cloud services. But customer responsibility security in the cloud is still like covers so many different aspects like a data encryptions, firewall, operating, system patching, depends on the service, right? And for EKS explicitly, we can see what other like actually security policies you have to set to be sure that actually EKS or ECS or other service operate according to our compliance and governance needs in our organization. Next slide, Anusha. And yeah, and ECS, even on Fargate, is not exception. And we can see that like still customer responsibility to secure network configuration, including VPC or client and service storage encryption, right? An example of the policies would include ECS service should not have public IP addresses assigned to them automatically, or ECS containers should be limited to read-only access to root file system, right? It might be like not that familiar to actually Kubernetes operated, but it's very familiar to architects and DevOps and platform engineer to expand these practices to all services, including ECS and others. Next slide, Anusha. And another one, like topic we'll cover today is how actually Nirmata switched the security left. I think you maybe heard this before, but we are talking about what the benefits of switching security left, right? If before we're talking about like detective controls and like when we actually capture an infrastructure, for example, already deployed to AWS, there is AWS config and AWS security hub. In Kubernetes, Kverna actually, how it works is actually intersect and doesn't allow intercept and doesn't allow the in like non-compliant Kubernetes resource to be deployed. But today we are talking about is like how actual Nirmata can help you to minimize this risk and improve your security posture even before it comes to that. And I don't know if Anusha gonna mention some of the new features as an AI-powered policy studio, or like we're talking about like how actually Nirmata Corona helped in the build process, for example, in your software bill of materials scanning, because it's not a today topic, but if you're interested, you can take this slide, it's going to be sent to you better and just learn how actually you can incorporate into your all stage of the pipeline, your security, and make sure you shift left. Anusha, back to you.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you. Do you want to run through the prerequisites?
yeah. So to be efficient, so what we're gonna do, we'll switch from presentation mode and we'll set up our AWS accounts. I have a pre-provisioned accounts for you. It will allow us to pre-deploy some of the items we required for today's workshop, and then we'll switch back to presentation while it's still in deployment. So Anusha can talk more about Nirmata benefits and introduce you like closely to Nirmata products and how they work. Okay, I'll take over. I'll open the chat. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna actually follow the workshop, and I'm placing it in the chat. This is our workshop. And to grab your AWS account, you'll need one link, and I'm gonna place it as well here. And I'm gonna switch from the chat to sharing my screen. Give me just 1 second. I don't see short screen. Okay. Anusha, should you, okay, no, sorry, I found it. It was minimized. That's why I cannot see my screen. I found it, sorry. All right. Okay, you see my empty screen, right? How about now? Anusha, can you confirm you can see my
No,
screen?
we were we were seeing the right screen before. Yeah,
Okay,
now we're good.
great. That's better because I can see it's going to be the same way my camera is. So this is our workshop today. If you have been on our AWS workshop before, we have actually AWS event system. So this is exactly the link I sent to you, and I'll grab it for myself and follow step by step to you. It's going to be slightly different just because I'm Amazon employee, but it should be, you should see the same one. Review, join, terms and conditions. There's no like nothing super like interesting for you to know except that this is completely sandbox AWS account which is going to be recycled. It has pre-provisioned EKS clusters. It will be available for you next 70 hours. So even you don't follow the step by step with me, Anusha, and we didn't finish it, you still have like 2 more days to go and play with this environment with Nirmata and EKS workshop by yourself. Join event. So here it is. I'm authorized already. What you're gonna see is actually, if you follow like the link EKS workshop, you're gonna see the join remote, like enter event access code. It's already in the link, and you're gonna see like the option for the one-time password. So please just go and pick one-time password, and gonna be authorized with your email. That's all you need. And you should get ended up in the same screen as I am, which include access to your AWS console. We will have ID pre-provisioned for us to work in, and we have a get AWS CLI credential we'll need later. Let me know how it's going, and you're able to grab the links. I'll probably bring that Zoom back. Randy, just let me know if somebody's stuck and having issues. I'll help you out. Once you log it in, you see the same event I do, you can open AWS console right here. It will redirect you. This is exactly the account you're going to work in. And you can check as well that you have some of the running EKS clusters already for you. Right here, EKS workshop. That's exactly our cluster we're going to work with. Okay, great. The same is for ID. You can click ID. The password is actually right here in ID password. You just copy paste it and you can access ID pre-provision to work with our EKS cluster right here. Great. After that, let's go back. We will need to set up a few components. We will need to provision load balancer, or ingress controller in our case for Kubernetes. Amazon BCC side driver, and we actually enable pod identity because Control Hub, like for Nirmata, require pod identity. So most of the prerequisites have been installed, and you can just validate. You can, this one small button here is a copy button. So it's super easy. Click, copy, go bash environment, and you can run and see that it's still working. So you might want to have, if you have 2 screens, you probably want to have like workshop in like Zoom on one screen and bash on another so it can work efficiently. So now let's just capture like our code all needed and it's stored all in the GitHub. We'll just run these commands one by one. So this is, we'll just grab all code from the GitHub to our environment. Each comment will take like several seconds to max like maybe minutes. We can check kubectl notes quickly. That all looks good for us. Yeah, we can see free. Great. So now let's verify AWS authentication map. Just make sure that everything works on your account. Let me see, know if you see different screen or any issues. Right after that, let's go to deployment of load balancer, which is ingress controller and resource of Kubernetes. We will actually grab specific one for that one. And I'll probably want to increase my screen. Nobody's mentioned that, but you probably wanted to see what's going on here. Right. It will take maybe a minute or here. And what we're doing is just basically grabbing locally again from the GitHub what we need for provision EBS and a CSI driver, container storage interface, and for the Helm chart. Okay. Okay. It might take a little more. How are we doing there? I'll try to switch in, find where is actually the chat. Randy, do we have any question issues? Oh, I found it. Great. How are we doing on the AWS account access? Let me know, guys, if you have any issues. Please, please use it. It's free of charge for you. It doesn't have any restrictions. You might have in your own AWS account too. So you can actually do and practice like all policy with Nirmata on it too. All right. It looks like bot identity might be the longest one. We will have a better version of Workshop, I promise. Like because of EKS after mod, actually, we're already working on it. I think my colleagues already finished it. So next one, I promise, is going to be much faster. But it's still not going to be too bad. It's just maybe 5-10 comments in total. Did somebody already try it, EKS after mod? I wonder. You can reply in the chat. I was super curious because it was a big boom fast.
Yeah, I think at least I've tried it. I think it's super simple to get started with because
Yeah.
earlier, I have to go enable pod identity, I have to take care of so many things, and now all of that is taken care of. But what I'm
Yeah.
also actually interested is how people are using it, especially how are you running your security policies in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that will be great to know. And Randy probably has a webinar announcement regarding that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Randy, go ahead because I'm still I don't know if it's my like internet connection or like because I'm a unique person who works actually from Starlink right now. So
Perfectly fine. Yeah, our next workshop will be focused on EKS. So that will be on May 21st at the same time, so 9 a.m. PT. And I'm going to drop in the chat the link where you can already register. And it looks like we do have a couple questions coming in Q&A. Someone said
great.
which app to use for IDE.
So this is Visual Studio, like virtual one, which you pre-provision on AWS and pre-set up with all requirements and like some of the like libraries, like everything pre-installed. So again, is like you can just use this one. But otherwise, you will need just set up the AWS CLI credential if you want to use your local one. You can grab it over here. I didn't test my personal Visual Studio with AWS CLI credential workshop. Typically, the simplest like explanation that because either people have a totally different like visuals like IDs or totally different setup, and it's extremely hard to write workshop waiting for people to set up it the way how it worked for everyone. It still take time even in this case. But yeah, you just can grab this one link over here once you access AWS account, and it actually pre-provision only C2 Visual Studio.
Awesome. And then somebody said it's all working fine at the moment, preparing EBS storage.
Oh, wow, you're much faster than I am. See, it's probably mine. Peter raised the hand.
Yes. Let me see.
Oh, yeah, okay. Almost.
Peter. Peter, can you drop your question in the Q&A, please?
If
Yeah.
you've done with Ingress controller, you can go with EBS CSI driver, and then we want you to do one more of this one, just because this one are taking some time. And we wanted to do like enable pod identity will like as soon as it takes longer time, we will switch back to Anusha and start talking about the Nirmata in Nirmata Cloud.
It looks like Peter dropped his, he has an error in the chat and it says EKS add-on version compatibility issue. Is that normal or?
No, we just tested it yesterday. Give me a second. I'll find where is actually Q&A chat more. Q&A. For some reason, it doesn't show for me. Oh, here we
Go
go.
in the more section and
EKS AWS page clusters. Peter, can you share exactly which one command you're running? You can also you can place it in the chat, the step you're running where you see the issue. Okay, let me double check. No, it's still not. Hmm. All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know if it's my connection or something else, but it really takes longer than expected. Here we go. All right, I'll start this one. It should be a little faster. It will install in load balancer from help chart. It says AKS workshop. It's actually what we're basing from. All right. Installing in now. So great. We should see this one and deployed one. And then we can go to Amazon ABS CSI driver. Here we go. Load balancer in. Let's do ABS quickly. I don't want guides to keep it for most interesting part. Let's see if I'll have an issue with EKS. I don't, hopefully not. Unless EKS team releases something interesting for the night. Peter, is it the page you have an issue with EBS CSI add-on or with like other one? I don't think we use any other add-ons. I might try to reach you personally after we're done with that and help you out. Ah. Oh, because you went to EKS workshop. No, go back. It's like we don't need all EKS workshop. I think you went to EKS. Let me see where you're going. We just use like EKS workshop base, but oh, you're trying to do it manually? Yeah, I mean it's outdated compatibility, but it's okay. You mean this one inside? Check version install it, ensure the compatibility. I don't know which one is this one. It's for core DNS and kubeproxy. It's okay. Don't worry about this one. But thank you for find. I'll update it. Okay, let's go back to our DON. It should be deployed. Good. Let's quickly check how it looks like now. Great. It's all up and running. You should see the same. Right. That's example output. Let's just trigger pod identity. Yeah, I know. I think EKS version changing, like Kubernetes version changing too much fast that add-ons cannot keep up with that. All right, let's enable our pod identity add-on. So there's the options to do it is like via AWS Management Console, or we can do it via CLI. So I prefer CLI. Let's do that. So we don't need to switch to multiple one. Okay, it's creating, it started to creating, and we'll need IAM role for the scanner ports. So first of all, I wanted to check you which one, if you know how to do this, it's a STS get caller identity, which identity you use, because you're like right now we under this one ID role, assumed role. So what I wanted to do is just actually grab AWS AI credential because this is a role which has more permission and it allowed us to create IAM roles. So yeah, and you can use it to set up your personal Visual Studio and local account with your temporary permissions. Going back, oops, sorry for that. Going back. Here we go. Let's double check. Now I should have, yeah, you should see this one role. This one role has enough permissions to create an IAM roles. Great. Let's go back. let's create the Nirmata JSON file. You can use touch or V or whatever you use. And this is a content for IAM role, which has assume role definition policy document, and it has a specific services listed here, resources, CloudFormation, EKS, Lambda, ECS, because this is exactly what we are working this workshop with, but this list can be customized. It depends on our needs, what are the services you want to scan with Control Hub. So I'll do touch MetaJSON, and I'll just open in Visual Studio right here, and I'll copy all the IAM role definition here. Where it is. For me, it's quicker than going through the console. And let's go back and just run the CloudFormation stack here. So we'll create a CloudFormation with capability IAM. Name it IAM is just ability to create the role with IAM role via CloudFormation. Here we go. The stack is running. And the last thing we need to do is to grab actual RN for this role created. So here it is. Our RN role is right here. Great. So we have IAM role set up. We have EKS add-on. So the last thing we need to do create pod identity association. So you can copy paste this command, and all you need is just replace this temporary IAM role RN template with your RN role which you just set up. So I'll grab it right here. Probably I should use here we go. Here we go. Great. I think we're done with all prerequisites. Sorry, guys. Yes, it's quite a few, but now you should be done. And I'll just place it specifically over here with this one set up with ABS CSI driver. And for you, it should be much easier than for me because I think I do it much more rare than you do. So a solution attack. Okay, Anusha, I think we ready with prerequisites, so we can go back to Nirmata side of things.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, Marina. Actually, I didn't know about the ID stuff. I export the credentials and use it on my local. So yeah, this
Yeah,
was
yeah,
pretty
it's
cool.
much
Yeah.
easier. It's it doesn't allow it allow you to use a workshop and don't break your local setup.
Yeah.
And do work with multiple AWS accounts in parallel too. So yeah, please use it. It's pretty cool. So we're working hard to actually enable it. I think it's back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. So let me quickly share my screen. So if you're done with the AWS setup, I think one last thing is you need a trial Nirmata account. Let me post in chat the link. So all you have to do is go to try.nirmata.io, select Control Hub, sign up. Already signed up, but yeah, just give in your email, name, and company. So you'll receive an email, or you can just log in with Google if you've already signed in with Google right now. And you'll get an email, I think something like this. Welcome to Nirmata team, your name, and just activate your account. That way you'll be able to perform rest of the cloud controller steps. Once you activate or click on activate button, you should be able to log into nirmata.io. And you'll only see one tenant. I had multiple tenants there, but you'll see only one. And you should have something like this, maybe not with all the data because this is my demo account. So you will have a fairly empty screen, but we are going to try and fill that up pretty soon. Cool. I don't think signing up for Nirmata should take that long. So I'll just give 1 minute so that we can quickly continue on the Nirmata side of things and I can get to the hands-on workshop.
Sounds good. And if anybody has any questions, put in the Q&A, or I can allow you to talk if you raise your hand again.
Or give us thumb up if you're following our workshop and we are not running too fast. Or you need a minute. Give us thumb. Okay, back to you, Anusha.
Okay, cool. So about Nirmata. So Nirmata was founded back in 2013. We are headquartered in San Jose. We are the creators of Kyverno, which is one of the most popular CNCF policy engine. We have about 3 billion image pulls, 5,000 GitHub stars, and we have a thriving Slack community of over 3,000 members. We also, our CEO actually, Jim Bogwadia, he co-chairs the policy working group, and we are one of the top 20 contributors to Kubernetes projects. So Nirmata Control Hub, what is it? So at Nirmata, we believe in preventive security. Like Marina mentioned, like security is a shared responsibility in AWS world or any cloud world. And especially we try to prevent misconfigurations as much as possible as opposed to detecting that something has gone wrong. Because with preventive, you try to keep problems at bay. You don't let all these misconfigurations enter your cluster in the first place. So Kyverno, if you all know about Kyverno, Kyverno is an admission controller for Kubernetes. It mainly is used for cluster controls. So when we say these enforcement points are nothing but the different stages in CI/CD where you enforce policies. So Kyverno is mainly for Kubernetes clusters. We have a CLI called NCTL, which applies the same Kyverno policies in CI pipelines. So because it's applied in the CI stage in a pipeline, we call it pipeline controls. And today we'll focus mostly on cloud controls. That is, before you launch a ECS task definition or before you run a Lambda function, you can prevent if those services are misconfigured. You can prevent the launch of those services or provisioning of those services. So since these controls are mainly targeted towards cloud services, we call those cloud controls. But all of these are governed by Kyverno policies. They are easy to write. All the policies are written in YAML, very, this hardly any learning curve. But it gives you the power of preventive controls at every stage of your CI/CD pipeline. Nirmata Control Hub provides certain management capabilities. So Control Hub is a policy and governance platform. So you can onboard different teams, your teams onto this platform, like maybe your development team. So if you're in the platform team, you can invite your colleagues. You can invite other development teams, other security teams onto this platform. You can share different reports with them. You can assign policy violations, like if you're an SRE or a platform engineer and you see certain violations on screen, you can route it to the right team, because just identifying a problem and then figuring out whom it belongs to, and then getting it remediated takes a lot of time. So we try to mitigate all of that. You can easily assign policy violations. We also provide remediations. We don't just tell you that something is wrong, we also tell you how to fix it. Then there's continuous compliance. We also provide recommended policies. Like, for example, if you're running ECS tasks, then hey, these are the policies that you need to install. Marina also mentioned about this. We have a policy studio, which is AI-powered Copilot. So writing policies has never been easier. So you just have to fill in a questionnaire. Probably towards the end, if there's some time, I can show you how easy it is to write a new policy, test it, see the impact in new environments, and you can easily start rolling out your policies. So that's all Control Hub is about. Coming to how it works. So we mentioned that Control Hub is a management platform. So that is where an admin would log in to the UI and then try to see the security posture of your environment. But how can individual teams or individual users interact with it? Let's say a developer created a PR for a Kubernetes manifest. The first thing that you do is run pipeline controls. So all the policies, all the checks run when a PR is created. So that gives that early feedback to developers on whether they're trying to do something wrong. Because let's say you don't do any checks over here, their request ultimately gets rejected in the cluster. So that late feedback, causes frustration to the developer that they tried to ship something and something got blocked. Instead, we try to give that early feedback. And let's say you are an ops team. You have a Terraform snippet that you have written to provision ECS tasks. So Kyverno now can be used for beyond Kubernetes too. So you can write Kyverno policies to check your Terraform misconfigurations. So the ops team gets that early feedback on whether their Terraform or any other IAC for that matter is misconfigured or not. And once a CD pipeline kicks in, let's say you want to provision Lambda functions or ECS tasks, that's where cloud controls come into picture. Even though you had done the same checks at the pipeline stage, you need to perform the same set of checks at every stage. Because of one of the reasons is zero trust security, because you cannot say that I have done all my checks in the pipeline stage. I don't want to check anything in the cluster or cloud stage, because an attacker is never going to go through your pipeline. They are always trying different ways to, take control of your environment. So you need to have policy checks at every phase. So we'll run, today we'll see how an admission controller for cloud works. And also we'll see that how you can continuously monitor all your running cloud services. Cool. If there's no question, I can move on. All right.
Peter
So
says all is working fine, so that's good sign.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Like I said, if you
Awesome.
want to raise your hand, I can give you permissions to chat too.
Yeah. Okay, so before I dive into the workshop, one last thing is I want to talk about the cloud control point architecture. We always talk about how Kyverno is an admission controller for the cloud, for Kubernetes. But now I want to talk about what an admission controller for cloud means. Admission controller in general is something that can intercept your requests and make some policy decisions. In Kubernetes, this is relatively easier because Kubernetes has all the required mechanism in place on how to intercept, its performance, etc., etc. But there's no such concept in cloud. So what do we do? So at Nirmata, we have developed this new app called Nirmata Cloud Controller. And one of the components is the admission controller. So it acts as a transparent proxy. Let's say somebody is running a CD pipeline. Or today I'll show that how from my terminal, I'm just going to use the AWS CLI to fire up some ECS tasks. So how this admission controller can intercept all of these requests. We also have policies installed in admission controller, and we'll see that how those policies help in making yes or no decisions. If policies are evaluated to true, then everything is good. Your request gets through. For example, if you're creating an ECS task, you can go ahead and create your ECS task or whatever service it is. But if the policy evaluation fails, then your request gets dropped over here. So this is the cloud admission part. Now, not always everything can go through the admission controller, for example. Then we also have a cloud config scanner. So now this is a little bit of the detective side of things. So it will continuously monitor your cloud environment for all the resources. Like you can set the frequency to 1 hour, 1 day, or whatever it is. So at that frequency, it will scan for all your cloud resources and then evaluate against the policies. The third part here is cloud event handler. So this is something that's work in progress. So today we'll just look at these two, admission controller and config scanner. So in the cloud event handler, let's say I used AWS console to create something. Then that will create a CloudTrail event, which I can read from the event bridge, and then I can react to this event. So that's what the
Anusha, it looks like
Sorry?
someone said they were not allowed. Peter, I just
Sorry,
gave you
not
permission
allowed for.
to talk. If you want to hop on, he said he was not allowed.
No, chat to type even messages right there.
Oh, okay.
Guys, so sorry because I were asking us like, oh, let's give us time up. It's like, how it's going? It looks like we didn't give you a chance to talk to us. I mean, type the messages. We'll fix it shortly. Anusha, sorry for interruption. Let's go back we will
Sorry,
fix
I was
it
just trying to make
later.
sure people's questions were
Technical
answered.
issue.
Okay, cool. I know Randy's got it. Yeah, so I was mentioning about cloud event handler. So let's say I run something through the AWS console that can't be intercepted by the cloud admission controller. Then we'll have to pick up those actions by reading some events and then, evaluating whether they are good or bad. So essentially, there are three components: admission controller, config scanner, and event handler. And all of the policy evaluations are produced as policy reports. And these reports are sent to Control Hub. And Control Hub is the place where we look at all these reports. So I hope you are able to create a Control Hub account. Okay. Okay, let's switch to the workshop. Okay, here. Fine. So getting started with Nirmata. Oh, I don't know. I always hit this. Okay, my browser has cached the old workshop. So we did enable pod identity. I hope this worked. We have also created IAM role for scanner pods, and we have created the pod identity association. Now, next, what we'll do is we'll first deploy the Cloud Controller Helm chart. So we need the Cloud Controller app to be running so that we can intercept requests in the admission controller. So go ahead and create a values.yaml file. So I'm running locally. So if you are doing locally, make sure to go back to your workshop here, get the CLI credentials, paste them in your terminal so that it can work. Okay, so I have this. So the account ID here should be your workshop account ID. So you can go here, probably grab from here, copy. Okay, regions US West 2. For the workshop, I think US East 1 and West 2 are allowed. So you can add both or just one. And for services, I have enabled EKS, ECS, and Lambda. So I think Control Hub supports about 7 to 8 services as of now. We plan to add support for more. But let's use EKS, ECS, and Lambda for today because that's what even our role is set up to be. And also policies enabled through it implies whenever I install the Cloud Controller Helm chart, it will also automatically install all the policies for me. I just want to double check that because I have set ECS, EKS, and Lambda here, in the scanner role, I can show you that, we have ECS get and list star, Lambda get and list star, and EKS, describe and list star. So we need only read permissions. And because I have 3 services defined, I have to give access to my IAM role for these 3 services. So the more roles, the more services you add, you'll have to come and update the IAM role. Otherwise, the cloud controller will not have access to fetch all these resources. Okay, so, okay, let's go and run this. Uh, okay, my repo already exists, Helm repo update, and install the cloud controller. Okay, just run the Helm install. Oh, what happened? I'll just run this. Oh no, now I have to Helm install.
Do you have it already installed in your account? Because it seems.
No, I just canceled this operation here. Right now it says now that's installed. What is it Helm delete? No. I always get confused with this delete step. Or I could give a new name to the chart. That should be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I can do Nirmata Cloud Controller. Okay, probably I canceled it in between. Now it has half the resources. Okay. Okay. Let me try the uninstall again. But maybe in this.
If you want, I
Okay,
can
this
grab this
uninstalled.
stuff. Yeah. Okay, great.
No, at least it says uninstalled. So let me quickly do this as well.
Change the name.
Okay, let's try.
You can try
So
original, yeah. Yeah, that should good.
hope this works.
No, looks like. You know, the bad news coming fast, so the fail is typically coming faster. Alpha is like
That's one
definitely
way to look at it.
DevOps and platform engineer right now would Zuzi agree with me because it's like when it's a 2 hours, 3 hours deployment and then in the end it fails and that's all has to be rolled back.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Great.
Yeah, you're right. Bad news comes fast. So now I have chart version 020 here installed. It says scanning regions US West 2 and services these three. Cool. Now let's go back here. Let's see if all the pods are running fine. Yes, so you should see these three pods: Cloud Controller, pods, admission, reports, and scanner. All of these are running fine. Next, I want to show you the policies too. So kubectl get validating policies. I have about, I think, 15 policies here, I guess. So I have policies related to Lambda function, ECS containers, ECS task definition. Yeah, I think some of these like check supported Kate's version are for EKS. I want to show one particular policy. Let's go to this. Yeah, so this is a Kyverno validating policy. So like you can see this, everything is in YAML and reading this policy is also pretty straightforward. So what you have to do is you'll have a bunch of rules and these are the rules that get evaluated, whether it's at the time of admission or at the time of scanning. So these are the rules you want to get it right. So what this checks is in the payload. So the payload is if you're making a AWS CLI request, whatever payload is sent to AWS services or whatever JSON body that you send, that becomes the payload. So if I'm creating an ECS container, I'm actually parsing through my payload JSON saying, go to container definitions and see if privileged is set to false or not. If it is not set to false, then this particular rule fails and eventually the policy fails. So writing these rules is the most important part. And then you have a match block, just like in Kyverno. So here I'm saying match, there are certain metadata that I can provide. I'm saying provider is AWS, ECS, task definition. I think Marina can attest to this. There are like ton of AWS services and the schema is very different from one service to the other. So it helps the cloud controller identify the right schema because if it's coming for the admission controller, the schema sometimes is slightly different. For the scanner, sometimes it's different. So adding this metadata helps cloud controller decide what it has to evaluate against. Then there are two other fields here, admission and failure action. So if admission is set to false, it means your policy won't be evaluated at the time of admission control. Here it's true. And failure action tells you, just like failure action in Kyverno, you can have two values here, audit or enforce. If it's an audit, it will simply create a report for you that something is wrong. It will not block it. But if it's running in an enforce mode, it will definitely block the resource. So since these policies are installed by default at the time of Cloud Controller installation, all of them are actually installed in an audit mode. What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and change one of them to enforce so that we can see this policy in action. Okay. So if you're following along with me, go to the policy that says, this is what? Name. Yeah, validate ECS containers non-privileged. Change the policy from audit to enforce. Okay, not OYAML. Okay. Okay, so now this policy is edited. Let's go back. One last thing I want to show here is the AWS account config. So remember the values.yaml that we put in. So it created an account automatically for us. So it created an account config CR. So this is my account ID. This is the name I gave it. These are the regions I want to scan. And this is a scan interval. You can change the frequency, and these are the services. So we have also actually extended it to AWS OUs. So instead of creating individual account CRs, you just give an AWS org CR over here, will automatically discover all the accounts under it so that, again, you don't have to do it manually. Okay, next. Okay, setting up the proxy. So like I said, just coming back here. So the admission controller part, it acts as a transparent proxy. So what we need to do is now set up the proxy. Our service is already running. We will port forward it to our local so that I can send my local AWS CLI request via this proxy. I will need two terminals for it because one terminal I'm going to use as the proxy, and from the other one, I'm going to run AWS commands. So coming back here, okay. Okay, this proxy works, but I need to execute something else over here first. So I need to set the CA bundle and export the HTTPS proxy here. I killed this because if I don't, the kubectl will also now go to that particular proxy. Okay, get secrets, export. This is good. Do this, and I can put forward again. Okay. So here I'm port forwarding to localhost 8443, and that's what I'm setting over here. Setting up this HTTPS proxy is very important. So if you're running this, let's say in a CD pipeline, you would expose this proxy via a load balancer and set the load balancer IP as the HTTPS proxy in your CD pipeline. Okay, now we have everything ready. Finally, we can see the admission controller in action. So I have this AWS CLI command. So this says ECS register task definition. Network mode is bridge. What are we looking for here? Yes. So the privileged field is set to true. Now in the policy that I showed, which we changed to enforce, it said privilege should be false. And that's what we get. Is that what? Yes. And that's what we get from the proxy. So we see this handling connection for 8443. So we know for sure that the request got routed to the proxy. And here we say that validate ECS containers non-privileged the privilege field, if present, should be set to false. Expected value is false. So this way, we were able to block an ECS container that was trying to get privileged access, which is a misconfiguration. And let's say if this was allowed and an attacker got access to this, so they could take over your ECS tasks, definitions, clusters, and so on. Now, let's see what happens if here my privilege is false. So this should be allowed, right? Still the connection went through proxy, but you can see this got created because this is compliant with our policy. So it's as simple as that. If your rule is evaluated to true, your request will be allowed, otherwise denied. Now, how do you see all the results? So you can do kubectl get cpolar. Cpolar is cluster policy report. Yeah, so EKS cluster, actually, this is the cluster that we're using for the workshop. Because I had few EKS policies, it already ran a scan on them. It says 1 pass and 3 fail. So we know our workshop cluster has 3 insecure configurations, and this is the task definition that we just created. Oh no, this is something I had previously created in my account, and it looks like everything has passed. So now how do we see all of this in Control Hub? It's nice to see in the CLI if you're working on limited set of services, or maybe you're handling just 1 or 2 accounts, but that's never the case, right? So this can get fairly large in number and it gets complicated. So that's where we will send all these reports to Nirmata Control Hub. And for that, you need to be able to install the Nirmata agent in the cluster so that Nirmata agent can read those reports. So how do we do that? That's again a Helm install command, but this time you would need an API token. You're installing Nirmata Kube controller. You set the cluster name. You need an API token. So to get your API token, I hope you can log into Nirmata Control Hub by now. So go to your profile. Since this is the first time you are going to be logging in, you will have to generate your API key. Yep, new key has been generated. You can copy the key and paste it here. Okay, all right, so this is there. So let me just quickly look at the pods. Yeah, we have Nirmata Kube controller running. Let's see if I can see the results soon. Yeah, this is my cloud control workshop, but I think this could have been from my another account. It might take a minute or 2 for your results to reflect. So it will show up in the cloud section. This is your workshop that you created. You can click on it, and this is where all your results will show up. So now you can filter it by regions, filter it by different services, and see what are all the results, maybe EKS. So we know that there are 3 failures. 1 is passing. You can see more details too. Yeah, we can see which policy and which rule is that. And given a policy and rule, how many resources are being affected across your environments. So you can slice and dice this information in multiple ways. You can filter it per severity, service, regions, etc. So yes, I hope you're able to get these results quickly, and I hope you're able to see this in Control Hub. If not, like, do let us know. I think we can help you out. I think how to get API token from Cloud Control. Yes. So I hope you're able to log into nirmata.io. You got your activation email. So click on your name on top. You see my profile there. So you can go there and you can generate API key, because this is the first time you're logging in. You won't have any of these populated. Okay, you got it. Amazing. So generate the API key, stick it into the Helm install command. Yeah, and you should be good. Yes. I hope that was not fast and you are able to see some results in Control Hub. Yeah. Yes, Randy, back to you.
Awesome. And if you have any Q&A, I believe I got the chat working, so you should be able to put stuff in the chat or in the Q&A. Or if you have something extensive, I'm happy to give you permissions to talk if you raise your hand. Now is the time. So I'll give everybody like a minute to do that. I know we've already answered a lot in the Q&A. Give you another minute. In the meantime, I know I mentioned that our next workshop, which is the EKS workshop, is only a little over a month away. So that is May 21st. If you would like to register, I'm dropping the link in the chat. You can go ahead and register for that. And then I'll also share with the recording. That way you have that. It looks like, I'm glad, Peter, I'm glad you're in here. You can see the chat as well. That's awesome. Cool. If no one has any questions, I do see a couple maybe coming in. How do you validate this against existing resources? And how do you test policies?
Yeah, I can quickly take that. And this is a good way for me to show Policy Studio. So for those of you who have signed up for a free trial of Control Hub, you can actually go to Policy Studio here. Let me think. Okay, probably this is not GA'd to trial accounts, but if you're interested in trying it out, let me know. I can enable it. So in Copilot, you have to answer a few questions on, first of all, what kind of policy you want to write. So let's say I want to write a policy for all ports, but I don't want my policy to apply. Second. Yeah, let me get this right. So this policy is for all ports. I can say which ports you can exclude. So I'm saying names that start with test. And then I have to give some condition. I'm saying must have label n equal to prod. So it will help you generate a near accurate policy. We need your help in testing out and making this better. So this is a simple policy that it generated. Let's say this is a new policy that you want to introduce. How do you introduce a new policy in your customer environments? Because policies can, break your workflows, right? So what you can do is you will, if you have onboarded other clusters to Control Hub, you can see in this dropdown, for example, I have the AKS demo here. I have prod namespace. I have two pods in this namespace. I add both of them here. And I have the ability to do a test run. Now with this test run, I can see that both of these pods are failing. So that means if I introduce this policy in an enforce mode, all of a sudden, without telling your customers, then definitely these pods are starting to fail. If they restart, they're going to get blocked. So the best way to introduce this would be in an audit mode. Inform your teams that, hey, your deployments or workloads are failing against this policy. We intend to make this policy in enforce mode in say 3 months or 6 months. So you better fix your deployments by then. So this gives your development teams some chance to get aligned with the new policy. And you can also be sure that you're not breaking any workflows.
Awesome. What is the best way to organize policies?
Well, what we suggest at Nirmata is because Kivana policies are, we follow the principle of policy as code. We recommend you store all your policies in GitHub. You can organize your policies based on their functionality or what they are, let's say, what they are used for. For example, here I have a set of PCI DSS policies. Now I need it for my PCI compliance. So I've grouped all the policies here. or I have pod security, all of them over here, or I have Terraform policies grouped together. So you can group together based on their functionality, or I've also seen customers group based on my ML team needs a bunch of ray policies. So I can have all my ML ray policies in one folder. So basically just group as you see fit and use GitOps principles like Argo CD or Flux to actually deploy these into your target clusters.
Awesome. Where can you find this documentation for AWS services or policies? So how can you write policies for Lambda or ECS?
Yeah, I believe, let me see, are they actually here? Yeah, so you can go to, I can drop this, github.com, Nirmata Policies. You can go to Cloud Controller /AWS, and you can see all the policies listed over here, ECS, EKS. So today we used a subset of these policies in our workshop today, and we intend to write and add more policies to other AWS services as well. This repo is public, so you can clone and use it.
But Anusha, correct me if I'm wrong. We are basically utilizing events a mechanism from Cloud Trail, which is based on CloudFormation, probably resource registry, right?
Yes, Cloud Trail events is one way, because if the example I showed was via AWS CLI, I could intercept it with the Cloud Admission Controller. If I ran a CD pipeline, even those I can intercept by the admission controller. But let's say I go ahead and create a task definition from the console. Even if I set privilege to true, there's no way for the admission controller to intercept that request because it's directly on the console. So in those cases, we rely on Cloud Trail actually capturing those console events that something got created or updated, and then we'll react based on the events that we receive.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions? Like I said, feel free to put in Q&A or the chat. We would love to answer them. It looks like we don't have any more questions coming in, which I'm guessing everybody is well understanding the content, so that's awesome. That being said, I would like Anusha and Marina, do you have any final thoughts to share with us before the end of the workshop or anything exciting coming? Anusha, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think for me, the cloud admission controller concept itself is fairly new for the cloud. So I definitely request, like, if you like today's workshop, reach out to us. I am all ears to understand more about your use cases, how Kyverno and Policy as Code can help you secure your cloud resources. And yeah,
Awesome.
thank you. Yeah.
What about you, Marina?
Yeah, I wanted to remind folks that you have actually 70 hours more, maybe 69, to actually go and play and try your policies and create different resources, ECS, Lambda. It should be allowed it and like see how it's applicable to your day-to-day job and how to bring it actually in the practice because yeah, it's a free account for you. Please experiment.
Great. Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining today's session. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know that means a lot to us. And a special thanks also goes out to our wonderful speakers and panelists. So thank you, Marina. Thank you, Anusha, for the great content and insight. Once again, this session will be sent out shortly after, so be on the lookout for that. And I will also share the EKS workshop registration link. So that being said, everybody have a great rest of your day, and we appreciate you joining.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Randy.
Randy.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Marina.
Anusha.